Hi everyone, this is Lokesh from Soul Freedom Show, and we have a very special guest today, Anaam, all the way from UK. Hi Anaam, how are you doing?
Hi, Lokesh. Hi. I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for joining. And I've been following your YouTube videos, and you sing very well. You're very talented, man. Why don't you tell us, like maybe couple of minutes of your intro, your background, and we go from there.
Well, I have many backgrounds. Which background would you
Let's
like to
okay.
know
Let's start with music, and then let's go into spirituality after that.
Hmm. Music uh, is my, like, I don't think it's a background. It's background, foreground, left ground, right ground, up
Center
ground.
ground.
Everywhere is
Yeah.
music. Yeah. First ground, second ground, everything is music for me,
Right.
especially singing. But
Yeah.
music as such, for me personally, there's nothing more uh, soul gripping, you could call it. Nothing catches my soul like music does, or any, music. And yeah, or sometimes even watching. I can dance, but I'm not a dancer, but even something like dance, just
Right.
watching, especially nowadays, I can really appreciate Bharatiya Shastriya Nritya, it's
Right. Right.
called, which is, in English it would be translated as Indian classical dancing.
Right.
And it's incredible, it's amazing. So anything that is musical related, I'm
Right.
there. Anything that's done with quality and heart, I'm there. I like it, I love it.
Cool. And I know you have a lot of YouTube videos, not just your singing. You have a channel called Anam Sings for your where you sing. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I checked out a couple of your videos, and you also sing with your partner,
Yeah,
some spiritual singing. But
yeah.
why don't you tell us more about the Toltec shamanism stuff? I don't know what's the right word because different people have different
Mm,
terminology, but why don't you give us a little bit of background about how you got into like the Toltec tradition
mm,
and what you're doing now with it, like, teaching stuff and stuff like that.
mm. The Toltec um, path, I just call it, you can call it anything, you can call it the banana path, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
The Toltec path kind of found me, I didn't go looking for it. I didn't really know anything about uh, anything like that, really. I didn't. I was too busy with the music, and I just wanted to be successful and make it, and all the dreams that, if you're half creative, you we would have those kind of dreams.
Right.
So I was busy with all that stuff, and the Toltec way found me. It found me, and I was finally, well, not finally, I was fortunate enough not long after to be able to be picked up really by my benefactors, and are responsible for training me and teaching me in the ways of the Toltec path. And it's kind of kind of coincides with Carlos Castaneda's work, a lot of it perhaps, and then it doesn't either as well. It's because of the nature of the Toltec path. It's not a religion that you have a set kind of way and everyone has to follow that, and it's very open-ended, very. There's a lot of room for, you can come in from all sorts of directions, and so but I was fortunately trained in the very traditional style, very traditional way, very hardcore, very sort of direct, and very pragmatic and sober. There was not a lot of like magic kind of tricks and magic, you know, flying in the air and doing this and doing that and turning somersaults and jumping into abysses and all that's very nice. But to me, to this day, it doesn't appeal to me, all of that. To me, the only value all that stuff has meeting allies and having your doubles and triples and twins and all that jazz. Good luck if you're into that. You're going to be wasting your time for a very long time, you
Right.
know. And for me, I was very fortunate that my benefactors really concentrated and instilled in me the value of functionality, what will work in everyday life, not when you're high on mushrooms or taking some peyote or doing this and doing that. What's the, what's the use of being such a big boss in that arena when
Right.
you're when you got nothing in your real life, you know? So
R-
I'm very thankful for that. And my channel is mainly to demystify the Toltec path and bring it back to the basics where the real work is.
Right, right. Yeah, because that's one thing I noticed is kind of a secretive path. Like at least traditionally, it's almost like a cult kind of a phenomena with Carlos Castaneda and his experiences, and he wrote a lot about it.
Mm.
So, one of the ideas they have is, like you said, the benefactor, or I don't know what's the other word for it, because some people may not know what a benefactor is. Basically, a teacher or master
Yeah,
finds you.
yeah.
Yeah. So how
Coach.
does,
You can call them coach.
yeah, yeah, coach or something. So how does that work? Like when you say they find the student, is it along the lines of when the student is ready, the master appears, but how does it practically work? Like how do
Yeah,
they actually kind of find you?
yeah, it's a very good question. I've thought about it over the years that you know, what was because I wasn't doing anything special. I wasn't like calling out in the twilight, find me, I want to
Right,
learn.
right,
And I wondered what was it that, because they couldn't care less if I trained with them or not. They
right,
really
right.
couldn't have cared less.
Yeah,
But because of that, they put so much into me. They were able to infuse me with so much because they couldn't care less whether I lived or died.
right.
Really couldn't. I can really tell you that. And,
Mhm.
as with everything that warriors do, there was a very specific strategic purpose behind that way of training me because I respond well to that.
Right,
That's my, that's the way I'm built.
right.
I like to be challenged. I like to have something to crash against
Okay,
because then I can measure myself and
right,
improve that way.
right.
I don't respond well to nicey kind of stuff.
Right.
To me, that feels like, okay, let's get on with the real stuff now. Let's get sparring. Let's get moving
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
However, I do recognize that there is a time and a place for nice kind of being nice and a nice soft training, as it were. There's a
Right.
time and place for that. I kind of didn't have that, and I like it like that.
Mm.
Uh, how was I found? How was I the, fortunate one in a sense? I couldn't say. I really couldn't say. To this day, I don't know.
Okay. And
There was nothing.
are they from the traditional lineage or tradition, the Nagual tradition, or are they like Westerners?
Well, there's no way to answer that because, yeah, there's no way to answer that
Like,
within the context of everyday perception. There's
okay, okay.
no way to answer
Because
that.
it's multi-dimensional, it's not like a linear thing.
Yes and no. Yeah, again, now I get lost for words. Even on the
Yeah.
channel, sometimes people ask in comments, tell us about your benefactors, and I don't know what to say, to be honest. In that, there's not a lot of detail I can go into that. It is very experiential.
Right, right.
You know, it
Is
is
it the crow? Because I heard something about the crow.
the crow.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
John.
Yeah.
Don, yeah, who is famous in Carlos Castaneda's books as Don Juan.
Right, right,
But in Spanish, Don Juan would be is in English is Mr. John. Mr. John. That's how.
right,
So I kind of know. I know him as the Crow.
right.
The Crow is my way of connecting and and I was introduced as John. My name is John, and it took me a while to connect, because Don Juan is such a thing, isn't he, in the books? Don Juan, and then
Right.
John. It took me a while to connect, and there was, yeah. So these, what happens is that we are given a set of holographic, a set of VR, virtual reality set. We are
Right.
all given that. Every
Yeah.
single human being who is ever born
Right.
is handed a free set of virtual reality
Goggles. Yeah.
goggles.
Just to
And as
see through
soon
the
as they're
matrix.
born,
Yeah.
as soon as they're born, those are
But
welded in front of your
yeah,
eyes.
but we are brainwashed, right? Through the vaccines, for all that stuff, right? We kind
There's
of,
so much, yeah, there's
yeah.
so much that goes around to support that virtual reality, that Truman Show that each
Yeah.
human being lives in.
So it's kind
And
of, we're trying to remember that because we already have that, but we're trying to remember it, right?
yeah, there's a way to take those glasses off
Right.
and see energy as it flows in reality, and assemble that energy in a way that is true to you. There's a way to do that. And everyone can, that way is open to everyone. However, not everyone will, find their way to that path.
Right.
On top of that, not everyone will stick with that path, because it's not a matter of just taking your goggles off and whistling out into the sunset.
Yeah.
It's very, very, it's very rigorous, and not everyone has the stomach for that. Not
Yeah, I
everyone has
know.
sticking power.
Yeah, especially in this age of ayahuasca and all these things, people want like instant,
Yeah.
an enlightenment. But is there a concept of like an enlightenment in Nagualism or Toltec tradition? Like, is there a moment when you say, "Oh, I'm there"?
Yeah. The strange thing I found, I can only relate these questions to myself, really. And the thing I found in my training is that uh, the first port of call in the way I was trained, and I believe that it must be in the Toltec path. You've got to have that, otherwise you end up having real aberrations in your head, real delusions about yourself,
Mhm.
especially if your personal power grows and grows. Those delusions grow with it, unless the first port of call in the Toltec syllabus, which is losing your human form,
Right.
is attained. If you haven't lost your human form, and along the way, a good benefactor will train you to become an expert hunter of your own self-importance. And if those two milestones haven't been attained before you go on with the training, that's like the
Right.
basic expectation, the very basic requirement,
Right.
then you're in for a lot of trouble later on, a lot of trouble. So my experience was, when I lost my human form, that's when my benefactor said, yeah, well, now the real training starts. Now, you've just
So,
kind of done the
it,
basic work here.
so is there a moment in time when you feel that you lost the human form, or is it like slowly, it happens like,
It's both. It's really both.
yeah,
It's kind of like the question, at what point does the tide start going out?
right, right. Yeah,
There
yeah,
is, there is a moment, but which moment was it? It crept in and crept in and crept in and crept in. And at one point, it started creeping out, creeping out, creeping out. But there was a point. However, it is impossible to say what point it was.
right, right,
So there is definitely, it's both. There is a specific time, day, that something leaves you forever. You leave your human mold behind forever
okay,
in your perception of yourself. However, it is like literally like the tide. It builds and builds and builds and builds till that time when you lose your human form, and from then on, you progress from the next stage
Right,
onwards.
right. Because that's just one level we can think of it in terms
So,
of levels, right? So because then you get
yeah,
to the next level, because there's never an end, right? There's
no,
always something more.
no, there's no, it's an open-ended game. It always has been, it always will be.
Right.
It's an open-ended game. There's the thing that I love about the Toltec path that I was trained in is that where all the popular perception of the average, world is, and all these gurus and big beards and India and all the romance and all of that, and these gurus are like, are seen as enlightened, and it's the peak. They're seen as the the in the Toltec system. That's the most basic kind of requirement. Like you
Okay.
literally, if you were doing a course, you've just done the very first module. It
Right,
is,
right.
you haven't really arrived anywhere whatsoever. So not real Toltec or a real warrior is ever impressed by anyone making their living out of being enlightened, because it's like, man, it's like a one-eyed man amongst the blind. You really can't see, but okay, good luck
Yeah,
to you.
right, right. And that's
I'm laughing.
also an illusion some people live in, right? Like when they experience something while in a trip on ayahuasca or DMT, they experience something beyond their body, which is kind of a universal, the oneness, and people think, oh, we've achieved it, but they have to keep going back at it because it's gone, right? So what you're
Mm.
talking about is like going slowly, naturally, organically. It happens, but there are techniques which can be done organically that you teach as well, right?
Yeah, everything has to be pro-life. Everything has to work with the natural flow of energy in the apprentice. You
Right.
can't go against that. If you go against that, it's you're going against life, and against life force,
Okay.
and that never produces good results. It will always turn toxic sooner or later. So a good benefactor, you don't just become a Toltec benefactor because you decided one day. It doesn't work like that. It's a very drawn out process, and no true Toltec will ever want to be a benefactor. They just won't, because uh, it's something that you take on. It's not something that you have an ambition kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
I'm gonna be a Toltec benefactor. I'm gonna be a
Yeah,
Toltec teacher. It doesn't work like that at all. You just, you assume that responsibility either because your own benefactors say that, okay, you're ready now, and you need to, if you wish to, you can spread the love a little bit, spread the training out.
right.
But which is what happened to me after a long period of training, we're talking more than a decade and more. There was a point where I was able to be considered, you could say, in the Toltec system only, not in as a thing, but within the Toltec system, I was able to be considered a Nagual by as a position or as a thing by my benefactor. It's meaningless. It means nothing. It's just a bloody word.
Right, right.
But then what the expectation was that, hey, you can, if you wish, you can spread the knowledge from here on out. You have the necessary qualifications.
Right.
And for many, many years, I just didn't find any use in it. I just thought, I mean, I have nothing to say to anyone. The world is always gonna go where it wants to go. People are always gonna be doing what they want to be doing. So why? I have really nothing to say. I'm just happy doing my business and then moving on from this life.
Right.
But then eventually it started, the benefits of being a Toltec, sort of at least having a YouTube channel at the very
Right.
least, started to dawn on me. And I said, okay, let's just give it a go. Let's just at least have a channel. So, I've got something to say, which is
Yeah.
very valuable and is rapidly disappear. Actually, what happened? yeah, I'm reminded now of, I'd forgotten of, is I started noticing that a lot of fluff was
Yeah,
there, even in
fake
the
stuff.
Toltec.
Right, right.
A lot of religious views and people running after all the wrong things, how do you do a Toltec weekend workshop, for example? How the hell do you do that? That's just
Right.
nonsensical to me. So I was seeing a lot of like people just didn't know what the hell what is this Toltec path. People were just really reading books and going to these so-called warriors who, if you look deeply into their lives, they've got there's nothing going on there in their personal lives. They have no,
Yeah.
there's no cleanness there. There's no personal power there, at least as far as I'm concerned. And so I decided, okay, let's open a channel, YouTube channel, where I will say my piece, express myself as honestly as I can, and pick topics that I either have personal experience in or I know them very well. I have had training in them
Yeah.
concerning the Toltec path,
Yeah. Oh,
and so that's
by the
how it
way,
started.
let me just mention the name of your channel. I forgot to mention in the beginning. It's the Nagual Zone, right?
Nagual Zone, yeah.
On YouTube. So yeah. Also, you mentioned. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you mentioned words like warrior, hunter. I mean, I'm kind of familiar with it, but for people who don't know, like maybe you want to mention what they mean. And also my second part to the question is like, how do you compare this Toltec Nagual path with other traditions, for example, Buddhism or stuff like that? Because, is there any similarity or, along those lines, if you have anything to say? But the first question is like, how, why are the words kind of, I find them a little bit cryptic, kind of, because
Yeah,
warrior hunter sounds like
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Again, you can call them
right,
idiots if you want, but you can call them
right,
warriors. It
yeah,
doesn't really doesn't matter. You can call them donkeys. You could call
yeah,
them, uh, you know, trees. It really doesn't matter. It's
yeah,
just a way to denote a a certain level of training, really, a
right,
certain
right,
level of training. Like
okay,
you have MSc, you have BSc, or Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor.
yeah,
But in the Toltec system, they're just called warriors. You have apprentices who go on to become warriors if they stick around long enough. That's itself is a challenge. Then warriors then go on to become Naguals. So the ratio is kind of like, and I'll explain what a Nagual is. The ratio is, for example, if you have let's say 1,000 interested people. Oh no,
right,
all right, let's take 1,000,000 people
million,
who've read Castaneda's books
right,
or who know about something called the Toltec. Okay, a
right,
million of them.
yeah,
Out of that, 10,000 of those will actually take it seriously
right,
and try and really be curious. Okay, what is this?
yeah,
Out of those 10,000, 100 will want to invest in themselves,
right,
will just have that desire. They want to invest in themselves and want to find a benefactor or look for a way to train themselves.
right,
Out of those 100, only 10 will actually find a benefactor.
right.
I don't
Either
know why, but that's the
benefactor,
way it works.
I mean, it's either way, right? Either they find benefactor,
Yeah, it really
benefactor finds
depends on
them.
the person,
Okay,
like, yeah, it really depends. I know people who, like, people come to me.
right,
I make it difficult for them to find me or contact me, but they
right,
still find me,
right,
right?
right,
And so out of those 10 who have actually managed to hook up with a benefactor,
mm,
5 of them will actually stick for more than 6 months,
right, right,
which is nothing in terms of training. It's like, yeah. And out of those, 2 of those who stick more than 6 months will stick around for, let's say, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
yeah,
Out of those two, if they manage to become a warrior, a half of those two will ever have a chance of becoming a Nahual. That's just the kind of
yeah,
way of saying, you know, how it's not just a thing that, you know, you go to
Yeah.
university and get your little degree. It's not like that. It's
Also, there's tests, right? You have to go through, because what I know is you have to, the life will give you tests you have to undergo.
life,
And if you don't pass, then you give up and that's it, right?
it's life that, you know, no one wants to hunt their self-importance. Everyone will
Right.
nod. If you go into a room full of people, explain to them what self-importance is, and tell them, hey, would you like to learn how to hunt your own self-importance? Everyone will go, yes, yes, yes.
Right.
But none of them will take action.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw your video about self-importance. Yeah, I also want to remind the viewers that you have a lot of like 10, 20, 15-minute videos about each of these topics. And that's what I like about your content is you don't just keep going. You have
Yeah.
very, straightforward 10-minute, 15-minute things about each of the topics that we are talking about right now. And yeah, I actually two of the videos I really love are one you talked about the gratitude is that's one of the important things. And then uh, like the foreign installation, I mean there's so many aspects to it, but it's like almost like connecting those dots because it's not just one thing. And that takes me to my second part of the question is like, how do you compare this tradition with, or is there any kind of a parallel with any other tradition that exists right now?
That's a good question. I like it. I just want to clarify what I said before is what is a Nagual? You know, Nagual is just a person who has, after rigorous training in the Toltec path, is considered to be someone, a conduit, someone who knows enough about themselves and about their surroundings, who knows
Right.
enough to be able to help others know themselves and know their surroundings and live, you know, live as warriors, live as it's not about being better human beings or anything like that. It's a, yeah, it's that's all I can say. And then the topic opens up, and you can watch my videos
Yeah,
about that
exactly.
in
You have a
detail.
lot of good stuff. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
the Nagual zone. Yeah.
yeah. And then the second part of your question, how does it? Is there any relationship to any other way? What I can say is that a lot of these other things, schools of thought, if you want
Right.
to say that.
Yeah.
The Toltec path, at least to me, the way it seems to me, the way I have experienced it, where they end, the Toltec system begins. For example, Buddhism, the end goal is being enlightened, as far as I understand.
Right.
For the Toltecs, it's the most basic requirement. You know, it's like going to a martial arts school where being the attaining black belt now is the main goal, and you work and work and you become a black belt. And then a guy comes along, or you find another school where they only take black belts as starting. You know, that's like considered like, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
black belts, fine. Let's start the real training now. So where most of these things end, you know, the Toltec system begins.
Okay. And I'm sure it's also a matter of terminology because
Yeah,
enlightenment is kind of loosely used,
yeah,
especially every person can have a different meaning or perception of enlightenment. So that's where if a Buddhist says I was a monk for 20 years, I'm enlightened, they may just be thinking that I have a peace of mind, nothing distracts me, but that may not be actual enlightenment.
Again, anyone that includes, you know, anyone comes up to me and tells me I'm enlightened, I already know they're talking out of their ass. They have no clue
Okay.
what that actually means in reality. Completely delusional.
Yeah, I think the
You will
way,
find
yeah,
anyone who's really lost. I like the term losing the human form because it describes a bit more accurately instead of this nebulous, what the hell is an enlightened? What is that anyway? No one really knows. But
right.
losing your human form in your perception seems to me to at least to be a bit more accurate, so I use that. No one is going to go around saying that as an identity. I am
Right.
someone who has lost their human form, or I am
Because
someone.
it's like an oxymoron, right? You cannot use I
Yeah,
am.
you're just
Yeah.
contradicting yourself. I'm
Right.
enlightened. Well, you just contradicted yourself. Either
Right.
you don't
Right.
know about enlightenment at all, or you are not enlightened. You trapped yourself either way by saying
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. You can say that I have experiences that I had out of body experience, whatever, but you can't say I've reached that ultimate state. Right.
In the sense of, this is a good topic to discuss because I mean, obviously, it's not like, oh, you are not allowed to say that. That's not it at all. It's more like it tells me where that person is really at with it. Because even in history, you notice any luminaries, Nisargadatta Maharaj, you have Alan Watts, you have so many
Oh,
amazing
yeah. You remind
UG
me of one of
Krishnamurti,
my,
the big boss.
yeah, one of my favorite books. I Am That,
Yeah,
Nisargadatta Maharaj. Yeah, that
Nisargadatta
blew
Maharaj.
kind of blew me away.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
to a large extent, just as far as this enlightenment thing is concerned, to a far extent, Osho, there are many, and these are just what the world knows about. There are plenty of them that lived and died. No one ever knew that they were any different than anyone else. And no
Right.
one really needs to know. If you really are that enlightened, you don't need to be going around proving that you're any
Yeah.
different anyway, right?
Right. Right.
So, so you will never find any of these guys, at least, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Raman Maharshi, UG Krishnamurti, Alan Watts. You will never find them saying, I'm enlightened, or
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
They are in that state, and
It's an
it's like,
insane statement.
yeah, exactly. That also reminds me about what in the Western tradition there are two paths, like what they call white magic, black magic. Because these things, the spiritual practices, can be used in a negative way. Many people use it. Even
Yeah.
some of the conspiracy theorists say that the Cabal or the Illuminati, they use these practices which are called, black magic, to kind of do bad things to us human beings. So, do you have anything to say about that from a Toltec tradition? How do you have to be careful not to kind of misuse what you get out of this?
Uh, the whole Toltec system is hinged on pragmatic, sober living.
Okay.
You're not drunk on your own power. You're not drunk on self-delusion. You can see clearly yourself, your role in life, and your surroundings. You can see that clearly. The example I like to give is, imagine you're naked in the jungle, in a dense
Mhm.
forest, in a jungle, you're naked, it's nighttime, you can't see a thing. What kind of awareness will you have?
Right, without the five senses, or at least without the one or two
You
senses.
will you will be completely alert. You'll be
Yeah,
completely, you know, initially you'll freak out for the first few days, months,
right.
but once you settle in, you survive, you learn to survive, you'll acquire a very particular kind of awareness
Sharpness, right?
where
Yeah,
it'll be very sharp.
right,
You'll notice, hear, notice, see a lot more than,
right.
just taking everything for granted. And then you won't be concerned with whether you're enlightened or not, or whether you're misusing your power or not misusing your power. None
Okay.
of those concerns will beset you because you are too busy being the forest.
But then isn't there a
So
chance that, oh, go ahead.
if you are busy being life,
Right.
then life is being you. There's no difference, there's no separation.
Yeah.
Then at that point, these concerns should and will fall away. Am I misusing, am I not? Because you're not, that those are not how you judge your living.
Yeah, right. Let me
You know what I
ask
mean?
this another way. So when we open ourselves to beyond the five senses, like you mentioned, there is a slight chance that other entities or whatever you want to call it, black magicians, they can also kind of attack. From what I understand, they can attack because you're opening yourself up. So in that sense, I meant that is there, you can sometimes you have to protect yourself from that, right? I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the Toltec system, we have a concept, an idea of something called shields.
Yeah.
And in the average world, shields play a big part. People use Netflix as their shield. People use everything from their name to their likes and dislikes and their family and this. They all act as shields, right? They are familiar things that create a sense of safety within that person. For the Toltec, those things don't exist as safety things. The Toltec uses an entirely different set of shields to navigate a predatory universe. The universe, let's get one thing straight here. If anyone argues to me that this is not a universe based on predation,
What is
then
predation?
man,
Oh, you mean that
predation is predator
predatory?
and a prey
Right.
relationship.
Okay.
Then that person is seriously self-deluded. They've got some serious head fucks going on up
Yeah,
here.
because
I'll tell you
everything
why.
is eating on something else.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
just the way it works. You don't like it, well, lump it, because you harping on about your all is one, and people
Yeah.
do all this nonsense. We're all one, cosmic consciousness, and just time waste, energy waste, fantasies.
Right.
They don't realize, oh, that little robin sang so beautifully in my garden.
Right.
Uh, yeah, you don't realize that the robin just ate a worm alive. Just ate
Ish.
that worm alive.
But I mean, we also
So
have the
it's a
survival.
predatory universe.
Yeah, but we also have that kind of survival instinct where we want to live. Obviously, someone wants to eat us, but we also want to live. So there's this dichotomy that we have to live with, right? We just have, what you're saying probably is we just have to accept that and just move on in
Yeah, the
life.
problem is when you build a Truman Show called Modern Living. It's a Truman Show, nothing else. It's
Right.
it's it's a studio. It's an artificial studio built to make the average person feel very safe and very like, you know, uh,
Yeah.
that's your life is, happening outside of that studio and you don't even know it. And it's that kind of, again, we go back to you or someone in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
And they won't have the time for these fancy philosophies of we are all one, cosmic consciousness.
Right.
They won't have the time for all of that. They'll be too busy being life
Yeah.
rather than thinking about life. If you know what I mean.
So it comes with the territory. Living in this three-dimensional world comes with the territory of what you said, what's the word you used? Predation.
Prediction, yeah.
But do you think this is only in this what we call three-dimensional reality, or like, let's say, because people talk about 4D, 5D, where people say 5D, everything is peace and light, and so do you think this is only happening to us here in 3D, or is it like entire universe is like that? Like,
I've never been to any 4D. I've never been to any 5D, 6D, or 3D, or any Ds. Okay.
mhm,
I am here right now.
right.
That's where my awareness is. Right now, if this is 5D, fine, I'm in 5D. If this is 103D, okay, I'm in 103D. I couldn't care less whether a predatory universe is going on in 5D or 6D. I could not care less because I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm here. People ask me, what do you think about, life after death? Or, well, when I die, I'll try and
Yeah.
let you know. right now, I haven't, and no one who's, and don't give me that, that this whole NDE thing, you know, yeah, that has to do with matrix and unplugging from that rather than actual death as in death, right? And
Right.
no one who's actually died has come back and told anyone about it. NDEs are very different, and they're literally like that plug got ripped out
Yeah.
of you. Body responded in a certain way by really shutting down its energy systems to base level. Anyone who's actually died, just like died, got buried or got burnt or whatever religion
Mhm.
grants them, cremated, whatever, they ain't coming back. They ain't having any NDEs. They're not coming back and telling you everyone about it, writing books and get rich off of that. So, it's not, I get a little bit firm when conversations start going towards the fantastical,
Yeah.
because the propensity is to talk about it. Two of us, we can sit down and really chat about 5D and all this stuff
Right.
and really walk away feeling great, feeling like we
Yeah.
really know something
Yeah.
now. Now I know something. Actually, no, all you did was wrap a terrifying unknown with the
Yeah.
safety of words. That's all you did. And
Yeah.
you fed your self-importance. We both fed our self-importance with that and felt really grand about it. That's all that actually happened.
Yeah. So what you see is what you get basically. Beyond that is just thinking, and thought is actually one of the things that actually stops us from getting to where we actually belong. Kind of, from what I'm getting from you, is like thinking about it is actually not experiencing it. It's just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just thinking about it. And there's plenty of that going on nowadays. People, instead of living, people think about living.
Right.
It makes no sense to me anymore. Maybe it must have done once. It doesn't make any sense to me anymore. But then I also understand that a lot of it is out of ignorance. People just don't know
Yeah.
that thinking about it will not lead to experience. People just don't know that. And so I can really understand the propensity for dinner, I call them dinner table conversations, where people sit down and solve the problems of the world,
Right.
and but nothing actually happened. You just had some nice chicken or whatever
Yeah.
you had and just talked. So
Yeah.
5D, 6D, we are all one, blah, 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 blah. As a functional Toltec, those topics are completely meaningless to me personally, and other people want to talk about them, knock yourself out, but it's got nothing to do with
Okay.
me.
And one last question before we kind of wrap it. Actually, two last questions. So one is the past life, because a lot of people go through past life regression. They remember their past life, which in a way is not just thinking about it. Kind of, it's more they did experience it, but from what I also know is they are not necessarily experiencing their past life. Just like when you were talking about ND, near-death experiences, they're experiencing something, but it may not be what actually is going on. They might be making stuff up when they come back. And I feel it's the same thing with past life. You might be getting some memories, but they may not be yours, because once your body dies, how do you know that those memories are from your body, from your
Mm.
past body? So is there anything similar in Toltec tradition about the past life, stuff like that, or there isn't anything like that?
The first and foremost, the way I teach and have been trained in the Toltec tradition, Toltec path, is that, uh, you know, unless something is adding to my inner silence, my capacity to be even more deeply present, unless it is adding that to me or advantageous to me in some way, in those ways, or it is advantageous to me in terms of creating high quality energy in my
Right.
body
Mm-hmm.
and high quality energy in my environment.
Right.
Unless that is contributing in any active way to that, it gets rendered meaningless and worthless
Also, it might be
So
harmful to you, right? Because you're creating
no,
fantasies.
no, no, it's
Yeah.
not. No, I don't think anything can, I don't think it's about harm. I think it's more about, as warriors, we realize that time and energy are the two things that we cannot get enough of. There's Time is limited. Can you tell me when you will die? Lokesh,
Yeah,
can you tell me when you will die?
exactly. Yeah, that's another topic I want to get into is, yeah, we never think about that we have to die someday. We know others are going to die, but I never think.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you have a video about it. Actually, I learned from that as well. But it's kind of a catch 22. We keep doing that. Okay, we deep down we know, subconsciously we know we're gonna die,
Mm.
but yeah, I don't know. I could be, like you mentioned in your video, I could be dead just right after this video. Let me not jinx it. I'm gonna be there. Don't
You're
worry.
right there. See,
Yeah.
that's what happens. You don't want to die,
Oh yeah,
but
exactly.
it's not your body. Your body doesn't even know that it's alive. You see,
Yeah. Okay.
it's your mind. You just thought yourself into fear of
Oh,
something
right
that is
after I said that. Okay.
absolutely inevitable.
Okay. Okay. I got it. When as soon as I said that, and I was like, no, that's not how I got into that fear, and
Yeah,
I brought back my body into this reality. Otherwise, I was kind of already gone. Okay. I
yeah,
see what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you.
So for a
Yeah.
Toltec, that was a big leak of energy,
Oh,
needless,
fear.
completely
It's
needless.
all fear, right? Basically.
Yes. So one day, the apprentice, after much, like it happened to me one day, I realized that everything I do, and I mean everything, I do, think, say, or behave like is based on fear
Right.
of some kind of the other. And that set me on then going into that fear and figuring out, is there one cause for this fear or is there many causes for this fear?
Right.
Initially, it seemed like there were many different causes for the fear.
Right.
Eventually, I realized there was only one fear. And that
Right.
was the fear. I don't call it the fear of death. I call it the fear of ending.
Ending. Okay.
Something in us doesn't want to end. And the Toltec system um, labels that as self-importance.
Self-importance. Okay. Yeah.
Self-importance will never want to end.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's another video. You have a video on that, because I know many people who are listening this terminology for the first time. They may not know what we're talking about, but I highly recommend to whoever is watching this video, go check out the Nagual zone. Aman, is doing
Anaam.
great. Anam, I'm sorry, Anam. Uh, so one last thing. So what do you like, based on the current reality we're living in? I mean, I just want you to get your, uh, want your opinion on what's happening in the fear, because we were talking about fear, like all this coronavirus and all this thing. Like, do you have any opinion on what's happening right now, or you don't, you just watch all that stuff happening as an observer and then just move on with life? Or do you kind of intentionally make sure that you are staying away from the negativity, or do you have any views on that?
There's no need to stay away from negativity. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, anytime, resisting anything is a great way to waste energy and achieve nothing. However, redirecting what's coming at you is a great way to surf
Right.
free energy, right?
Yeah.
So in Aikido, for example, if someone would study Aikido, it's all about redirecting. Tai Chi is the same. You redirect force that is coming at you, you redirect it to your advantage.
Right.
You redirect it to your advantage. And so there's no need, negativity is just a form of energy. You can redirect it and use it to surf that moment in a beautiful way. It doesn't really matter. So, you know, I don't have much like opinions about the general state of things, because the general state of things has always been, people are never happy with the general state of things ever since time began. There's always just stuff going on.
Yeah.
As far as it touches me in real life, it tends to not touch me at all. I've personally never not even felt a little bit of a difference.
Right.
We have been, completely open. Friends have come, gone. I don't wear masks and all that. I have no need to do all that nonsense.
Right.
Mainly because, if someone was to actually convince me that this scamdemic was actually a pandemic,
Right.
then one could take the necessary steps, and they would not be what the government recommends, because I would think I would do my own education on it and come up with my own safety protocols. However, that's not the case. To me, this is clearly there are other forces at work here. Let's just put it that way. Because otherwise, we have another whole conversation on that.
I know.
So with and at the end of the day, I'll tell you something, that if we learn to steward our frequency levels, energy levels, we learn to steward them, our energy, into a high quality energy exchange within ourselves and with our environment, which can include other human beings or not, doesn't matter. But if we learn, if we master the art of having high quality energy exchanges as much as possible throughout the day in, day out, year in, year out, it will have a drastic effect on our base frequency. Everyone has a base frequency they operate on.
Right.
That base frequency will start rising up.
Okay.
Once that frequency rises to a level away from the base frequency of wherever they're living, or the consciousness of the consensus reality around them,
right.
There will be a big dissonance. They will not find themselves able to avail of that world so easily. They'll have to really, it will be more of a sense of stepping in and stepping out
of
that consensus reality. Because it's no longer your reality, your base frequency has been rising. So I would say that anyone who wants to approach this holistically, is then what you must do is you owe it to yourself to learn, become a master at establishing high quality energy exchange within yourself, which means the way you talk to yourself, the way you narrate what you say to yourself, that will determine whether you're generating high quality energy or you're generating low quality energy, criticizing yourself, hating yourself, shameful, guilty, all sorts of nonsensical things which don't work, which are not advantageous.
Right.
But if we can get away from that and become masters of generating good energy, I don't call it good or bad energy because that's just labels, but something more accurate, like high quality energy.
Yeah, positive, like kind of positive. Yeah.
Well, again, positive, negative. Negative is bad.
It's just the words we use, like it's hard to describe.
It's more like so that staying away from loaded words that could create confusion in people, and kind of giving a different way to say it so that people can perhaps understand a bit more about that idea. And so that will then start raising the base energy of your body system. Mantra work is amazing for that. Amazing for that. I am a big chanter, I do humongous amounts every day, and it's brilliant. I can't recommend mantra work enough.
So maybe actually, why don't we have one more discussion, because sometime later, because I wanted to get more into some of the things, like techniques that you use to teach people, and get more into the details. But maybe we can get more into the detail. This was just very basic stuff. And also, why don't you tell us like a little bit more about how people can find you before we kind of wrap it up, and if you have any final message.
You can go to my channel, the Nagual Zone, on YouTube, and from there, if you feel the inspiration to get in touch, you will just have to go through randomly through the comments like you did.
Yeah.
There you will not find any advertisement
Yeah.
saying Nagual Zone, sale on till the 23rd,
Right.
nothing like that.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch, then the first, gate that you have to cross is find my email. It is somewhere in the comments,
Right. And
Find it.
and you take limited students at a time, and obviously it's a very rigorous training. It's not for everyone.
It's
We
not
had a
for everyone.
discussion about that. Yeah. And also, can people find your singing videos as well? Like,
Yeah, go to Anaam Sings.
Okay.
Maybe you can put these in
Yeah,
the
I'll put this
description.
description. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just put in Anaam Sings, one word, ANAAMSINGS. Anaam Sings in the search term in YouTube, and my channel should come up. And I upload fairly often. They're mainly Bollywood, old, beautiful Bollywood tunes that I grew up with, that I love to sing. And some Western tunes as well that, my favorite. But basically, I just sing whatever the hell I
You
feel
feel
like
like,
singing.
yeah. And your other video, and your other channel is Nagual, Nagual
Yeah.
Zone, the Nagual Zone.
The Nagual Zone, yeah.
Right. On YouTube. So, all right. Thanks, Anam. Thanks for joining. And hopefully we'll get to chat again. Maybe we can have a part 2, get more into the details if, that's okay with you.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up? Or
No, I would say walk in freedom, everyone. And remember what we discussed about learning to create high quality energy exchange within yourself and your environment. Just that one thing can really, really change your life. Really, really. And that one doesn't matter whether it's Toltec or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just anyone can go make that a priority and benefit themselves immensely with that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Anam. It was great talking to you. Appreciate it. I know it's late over there in the UK, and hopefully we'll get to chat soon. And you have a nice evening. Thanks, Anam.
Thank you, Lokesh. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.